You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Question for you. Would you rather pay $150 a month or $15 a month to work out with the same high-quality gym equipment? At Planet Fitness, you can get top-tier equipment for $15 a month. Plus, save $28 or more when you join now during our Strong Choice sale. Our weights weigh the same, you just don't pay the same. Enjoy free fitness training and 24-hour access at most clubs, all in the judgment-free zone. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. See club for details.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, good morning. Welcome into a Friday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get in on the show with us this morning. X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Wimp Sanderson 1. The email for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. They bring you this 7 o'clock hour. They do it for us each and every day. So if you're going to build the 5-star backyard, the fence, the deck, the pergola, there's only one choice. That would be Yellowwood. So go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. If you're the Milwaukee Brewers manager, you have to be and players, devastated of what happened last night. Did you see that, Dad, last night?
No, it hit the 3-run homer at the top of the ninth. And
yeah, it was 2-0, and they hit a 3-run homer. I mean, you're right there. You're getting ready to move on, and then it just snatched away right there at the end. Got to be devastating.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sports can be that way sometimes. Several little things that we'll give you. In the Sanderson Farm tournament, which is a very good tournament over actually Madison, Mississippi, right outside of Jackson. Patton Kazire continues to play well. It's 7 under, 12 under leads. Nick is 3 under, and Davis Riley is +3. Lee Hodges is a good player. We don't talk about him much. It's 5 under. Mullinex is even, and Robbie Shelton is 1 under. So a lot of Alabama connections there if you enjoy watching that over the weekend. As Barry's mentioned, in the top of the ninth, 3-run home run, put the New York Mets, put the Brewers out. A devastating loss that be hard, very, very difficult to swallow. The Falcons, 36-30 over the Buccaneers, which I didn't get to see much of that. But those are some of the things that happened tonight. You'll see Michigan State and Oregon, if you're interested in that, on Fox. Oregon much better than Michigan State. And Syracuse and UNLV with the quarterback situation will be at 8 o'clock. I mentioned yesterday about the Auburn flip, or getting the flip from quarterback from Notre Dame. And, of course, that's been the talk a lot on some talk radios. Les Miles he's moved his lawsuit against LSU, who's trying to take away his wins, and taking away those wins keeps him out of the Football Hall of Fame. He's moved that to state court, if that's of any interest to anybody at all. So those are the little things we open up tomorrow at 11 o'clock with Missouri and A&M, and then follow that with Auburn and Georgia at 2:30, and then a pivotal game with Ole Miss and South Carolina. Ole Miss needed to hang in there, and South Carolina needed to try to get in there. Vanderbilt Alabama game's 3:15. Tennessee Arkansas at 6:30, I believe it is. So, and Florida entertains Central Florida. So that's about it. We welcome your calls. Dr. Galen McCullough will be our guest today, and had Galen on a long time. And he was at the game the other day, and hopefully Sonny will be on. But we welcome. Got plenty of times for callers to call in and tell us what you think or don't think or whatever it is, and I'll be glad to try to help you answer those questions.
Oh, yeah, so the next round of the playoffs are set for baseball. They'll
Saturday.
start tomorrow, noon. Tigers take on the Guardians / Indians on, let's see, True TBS. That's on TBS.
Tigers must be pretty good.
Yeah, Tigers are good. Fox, 3 o'clock, Mets, Phillies. Then TBS at night, Royals and the Yankees. And then the last game, which I think the Padres and the Dodgers will be as good as that.
Well,
that should be.
Most of you my age, even younger than myself, we had American and National League, and we had one playoff and the World Series is all we did. We entertain a lot of teams now, good, bad, or whatever, money makers. It tries to be money makers, but basically we had pretty much the American National League. So things change, just like football has changed over the years to an unbelievable point that you would never have thought about. Baseball has changed. So women's basketball started really this year with 2 or 3 great players really hitting the headlines. So as years go by, things change.
Yeah. So, sorry, and we'll get to Tom here just for a second. As far as Les Miles, you could give him, I know he's lost 37 victories. You could give him 57 victories, and does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame? Les Miles? Come on. Anyway. All right, get to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom. That's my opinion. Get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Barry. Good morning, Coach. How are y'all this morning?
Oh, we're hanging
All right.
on.
How are you, bud?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I was reading an article last night, Coach, in the New York Post, and my feelings on the New York Post being the greatest newspaper in the history of newspapers. And on Augusta National and the damage that was done to the golf course by the hurricane. Have you been looking at those pictures?
I have not, but I have some friends over in that area who have not had power, did not have power for over a week. And they sent me pictures of their place, and it was brutal. It was awful. I don't know I forget how many trees went down at Augusta, but a pile of them.
Oh, it's horrible. When the Magnolia Lane, the famous entry to the club.
Yeah.
It's just the trees are not down, but it's just like messed up. And then the drone shot that I was looking at, when you get past the Magnolias and you come up on the clubhouse, all those trees, those beautiful live oaks that were all around, the big tree out there where everybody congregated at the end of the day and visited and all that, that's gone.
Mm. Yeah.
It's terrible. But I wanted to bring this up, Coach. I know that you have been associated with one of the chairmen of Augusta over there, Mr. Ford. Is that correct?
I have been.
Well, I want each one of those chairmen have been really interesting to follow. And but this new one, Fred Ridley, are you familiar with him at all?
Only by name.
Well, he is doing something. I mean, he is different from all the other chairmen. And I'm not saying they were bad. That's not my point. But he is so much different. He got Augusta together, and all the devastation that's around that golf course and that clubhouse, they gave $5 million to the relief effort. Augusta National did.
Oh, that's great. It's people that are rich, but they also are human to the point
They're different.
Humanistic to the point that they want to help people, and there's some of them have been so fortunate to get in.
Well, I'll take you back here 2 years ago, and you remember Augusta National, one of the routes for people were taking to get to the golf course and everything, go through don't take this wrong, okay, but it would go through an area that was blighted. You know what I mean?
Sure.
An eyesore.
It did. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I'm not saying this to try to run nobody down. I'm saying that it's kind of a human interest. Augusta National goes in there and they pour money into that section of town and practically renovate everything there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's they've done a great deal there, and they've done a great deal in Atlanta too.
Yeah.
For that place there, it was pretty bad there. Where they have that. So, people with money are willing to help people. I think
they sure are.
Great, and also, Tom, these guys have a lot of sense. They know what you're doing. So I think that's important.
Well, that's interesting you would say that, because I feel exactly the same way. I agree 100% with you. And Barry hates to hear me say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You're exactly right. But
who's shocked by you saying that, Tom?
Anyway, I wanted to bring that up, Coach, and bring it to your attention. If you get on Instagram, I think you can find those drone films on the damage done at Augusta. They got a lot on Instagram. They got a lot of before and after, and it is absolutely. I don't know that they would do this, but I would say, okay, no tournament this year till we get this place fixed, but it just won't be the same. You know what I mean? There's so many iconic trees that are gone.
Wonder how they'll fix it. They'll fix it. You won't even know it by the time they play the
I hope so.
Play the Masters.
It's kind of sad, though, Barry, when you think about it.
And I'm surprised that hadn't gotten more coverage, to be honest with you. I hadn't seen it.
So they can't do that. Those rich folks gave $5 million to relief. We can't get that story out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, and Caitlin Clark was the Rookie of the Year as well. So there you go. All right, take the break here. Well, by the phone, it's 205-342-9904. We want to thank 2 Minute Truck. They're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. Whether it's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. 205-247-5050. 2 Minute Truck. Movers who care.
Good Friday morning. 20-year-old Luther Bernard Watkins, the man charged with killing TPD investigator Darnell Cousette during an arrest attempt in 2019, is claiming inhumane treatment in the Tuscaloosa County Jail. He awaits prosecution in that case. Watkins has changed attorneys several times and has filed a number of motions, including wanting to be moved or tried. There is a backlog in felony cases in Tuscaloosa County Court. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We now have an issue on our hands on McFarland on the eastbound lanes just before University. Watch out for that accident. Now, it's got traffic moderate, not necessarily at a standstill, not at this point at least. Now, we're traveling nicely on Lurleen Wallace on the northbound hookup to McFarland eastbound onto Lurleen Wallace. That's a little slow, but it's just stoplight delays, so they're very brief delays. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa Thread.
Good Friday morning. 20-year-old Luther Bernard Watkins, the man charged with killing TPD investigator Darnell Cousette during an arrest attempt in 2019, is claiming inhumane treatment in the Tuscaloosa County Jail. He awaits prosecution in that case. Watkins has changed attorneys several times and has filed a number of motions, including wanting to be moved or tried. There is a backlog in felony cases in Tuscaloosa County Court. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Want to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Download the Tide 100.9 app today.
back to inside the locker pressure treated pine from Great Southern Wood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then you certainly don't want it. Dad, if you were in college football, if you were coaching, obviously the quarterback, much like in the NFL, you look at Miami Dolphins now, they've lost Tua. They're a train wreck, and they've still got the great receivers. Miami Hurricanes went out. Cam Ward was not a big name coming out of high school. He went to Incarnate Word for 2 years, then transferred to Washington State for 2. One of those places he must have redshirted, so he is a senior at Miami. And it's working for Miami right now. Miami's 5-0, and so they play Cal. Game day will be there on Saturday, and so they got a chance to get the playoff. But after the season, Cam Ward's gone, and so I think they maybe feel like this is their one chance, and they had a quarterback they could get that would give them a chance. So I don't know what they paid. I've heard close to $1 million to get Cam Ward. Maybe he's earned more since he's been there. But if you were at, say, a Mississippi State or a team that's not going to go to the playoff, would you invest in a senior guy like that? It's going to come in there 1 year, then, he may play well, and then he's gone. I guess ideally you would like to invest in a younger kid, but you don't know how good they are because they don't have the stats. So how would you handle that quarterback position? It's working for Miami, but after this year, Cam Ward's gone, so I don't know what they have behind him. Would you buy a 1 year quarterback, I guess is my question.
I visited with somebody who offered to buy him. I'll leave it at that. I think you need to buy him. I think because of this reason, it is the first time that you're getting into a 12-team playoff. It is certainly a recruiting tool if you get in that playoff. If this guy sink or swim, you've got the money, and you feel like he is the guy that can get you in there, you do it for recruiting purposes. This Miami team's on the move up. They got the final 12. They're doing a really good job. So I think that's big. So to answer your question, for me, I'm going to move right now. I'm going to take him, and I'm going to, and after that's over with, I'm going to try to buy me another one.
All right. So you think Auburn? They've got this freshman, the kid that they just flipped. Should they go buy another one that has 1 year, or then let that kid kind of sit behind him, and then if he can beat him out, fine? Or do you say, you know what, we've got our guy. We're not going to win the national championship anyway next year. We've got our guy coming in from Texas, and we're going to let him develop. Because if he's not playing, he's not getting there. How do you handle that if you're Auburn for next year?
Yeah, we are. Okay. I'm sorry.
I said, how do you handle that if you're Auburn for next year? You've got the kid flipped, who's a freshman. Do you go buy a senior and we're going to let this freshman sit there and wait his time? Or do you say, you know what, we're not going to the national championship. We're not going to playoff next year anyway. Let's develop this kid we got, and we'll have him for 4 years there. What do you do there?
I think you buy what you think will get you as far as you can get that year. I'm sitting there as a football coach, whether you like it or not, with a big salary. My salary can be $88 out the gate to some extent. It's hard to lose your job. I think that you take it, you do as best you can to do what you think you can do to get you as high as you can get every year. That's what I think.
All right, so you're not going to try to build a program. You're going to build a team. So we're going to be as good as we can be next year. So let's go buy whatever we got to buy to be good next year. Then the next year we'll figure it out. We'll go buy whatever we need to be good the next year and just go year to year is what you're saying.
That's what I would do if I was in a situation. Now, there are some people, as you well know, that have the sources, the resources to get whatever they want because they love the people that have the money love their school. They just do. They care a lot about their school. They don't want their school to be second fiddle. And so that's the way I'd handle it. And maybe that'd be wrong, but I couldn't. I'd go right at it right quick.
Yeah. So I would think quarterback is the most important position. You got to be good. If you're not good at quarterback, you ain't no good. Yes, Chase.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like for Mississippi State, I think it's like a culture problem. I think if you can't recruit and you can bring in, if Jalen Murray was on the market, if you can bring him in and you don't have the wide receivers, you don't have the coaching schemes, you don't have all that, you're just throwing money in for no reason. So if you kind of look at it, if you can recruit, you can bring in a 5-star, look at Nico from Tennessee. They brought him in.
They bought him though.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a flawed argument. I understand that. I feel like just like programs like Mississippi State, Florida, Auburn, it boils down to coaching and the culture. If those don't match up together, then you can bring in 5 wide receivers you bought in, and it's still not going to work out.
Yeah, but if you got players, your culture immediately gets better.
Yeah.
So Florida, they're in and I would think if you win, like Miami's 5-0 now, so they probably are. Season ticket sales are high. Fans are excited. They're probably buying the merchandise. So I would say that has probably worked out. We'll see what happens during the season. But as of now, it's probably been a good investment, right, Dad?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, right. If you don't mind, Barry, give Chase that number, and Galen's just called.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
All right. So anyway, I just was looking at that. There's some teams that they might go buy a quarterback, but obviously you could buy one if one that has 3 years as opposed to one that has 1 would be.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, you're what you say is true. I just don't. I'm not going to. For me, I'm not going to put my back against the wall if I'm struggling to try to get out from under it. And Miami was struggling. As you know, they pay a pile of money to get in the Final Four or close to the Final Four in basketball. This guy had all kinds of money down there, and that's what happened.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the Yellowwood Hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, y'all. I agree with Wimp. I think that the 12-team playoff is such a hot marketing deal for your school now. I think you got to do whatever's necessary.
So if you were Mississippi State, would you go pay top dollar to get a quarterback for next year?
Yeah.
Yes. And he says, even if he only has 1 year.
Yes.
Knowing you're not going to playoff.
I don't know that.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't know that. You don't know that.
We know Mississippi State's not going to the playoff. They could buy Joe Burrow, and they're not going to the playoff.
What they said about Joe Burrow, though.
Well, maybe you have to. Let's take another team. Let's take a team like let's take an LSU type team, or what does Georgia do next year? I don't even know who Georgia's backup to Carson Beck is. So, I think teams like that are going to continually stay relevant and do whatever it takes to be in that picture.
I had somebody message me saying Auburn bought Cam Newton for 1 year. The next year they fell apart. But don't you think Auburn thinks that 1 year with Cam Newton, of course it wasn't legal back then, was worth it? They got a national championship out of it. So,
yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, I do.
All right.
Yeah. And I think wasn't Mississippi State involved in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you mentioned State. But anyway, Barry, how do you feel about there's 3 games I want to ask you about for tomorrow, and just a brief synopsis by all you guys. And I had to leave yesterday and couldn't listen to all your show yesterday. But how do you feel about Alabama, Vandy, Auburn, Georgia, and the Arkansas Tennessee game? I don't think Arkansas can touch Tennessee. I don't know. The Auburn Georgia game is going to be kind of interesting to watch. I feel like Alabama is going to be a 32-13, 32-14 type game.
Yeah, when I hear Jamarcus Shepard, we played his clip yesterday. I don't think Alabama is as enamored with what that Georgia game as all the fans. That's all they're talking about. I think this coach staff's got them to turn the page on it now. When they leave the complex, what people talk about, I don't know. So I think Alabama will be ready, but JC kind of intrigued me about Vanderbilt's offense and that quarterback and how tough they are, that they're very difficult to play, and if they run ball control and run the ball, the line's 20, I think it's 22, maybe 23. And Vegas is saying that's one of the biggest bet games of the weekend, that everybody's piling the money on Bama. So what does that mean? What does that usually tell you? I don't know, but it's 22.5 right now. Georgia, I think everybody thinks that Georgia's going to just blow Auburn out. I think Auburn will go over there just getting away from home. I think they'll play better. I would look for Auburn to probably cover that line. The line's 22. I think something, but that could go either way. You just don't know their mindset. What was the other game? Arkansas?
Arkansas, Tennessee.
Dad, what do you think Arkansas, Tennessee there?
I probably should have blue played it. I think Tennessee's going to blow them out, but I didn't blue play it.
Line's 13.5. I don't know. Be interested to see. You got a little bit of, and then that South Carolina, South Carolina's best running back transferred to Ole Miss. He's actually the second string guy. There's a lot of hatred there between those two programs. So that fan base will be ready when the Ole Miss rolls up in there. We'll see. They talk about late.
I may have made a mistake. I picked South Carolina to upset Ole Miss, and I picked Rutgers to beat Nebraska.
Yeah. All right, Phil, we got to get out and get to Dr. Galen McCullough. You can call us back in the second hour if you want. Thank you, sir.
Have a great weekend.
All right, we're going to take this break and get to Dr. Galen McCullough. You're listening to Tide 100.9. This is home of Alabama Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We now have an issue on our hands on McFarland on the eastbound lanes just before University. Watch out for that accident. Now, it's got traffic moderate, not necessarily at a standstill, not at this point at least. Now, we're traveling nicely on Lurleen Wallace on the northbound hookup to McFarland eastbound onto Lurleen Wallace. That's a little slow, but it's just stoplight delays, so they're very brief delays. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Don't miss the time.
Shop Macy's VIP sale going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest fall trends from designers that rarely go on sale. And save 15% off skincare, makeup, fragrances, and more. Plus, shop fall specials for even more great deals on top brands at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. The chance of a few isolated showers. The high 81. For tonight, fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow and Sunday, warm and dry. Sunny both days with highs between 84 and 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Well, welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We want to be on the 10th to deck the pergola. Only one choice. That would be Yellowwood. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer closest to you. All right, Dad, I'll get to the Yellowwood hotline and let you bring Dr. Galen McCullough into the show.
Well, I appreciate him being on. We've become friends. I hope he invites me back to speak to the quarterback club, but no, I'm just kidding. Doc, you were there, I think, but did y'all have a 64 reunion?
Yes, we did. It was the 1964 National Championship team reunion this past weekend when we played Georgia.
Could you tell our listeners, we got a lot of listeners that go way back. Could you tell our listeners maybe some of the people you saw and your thoughts about that reunion?
Well, let's start off by saying it was really great. I hadn't seen some of those guys in a long, long time, maybe even 60 years ago. But it was a fabulous weekend, and I guess one of the ways to describe it, it was just magical in every way. The people that organized the event could not have been more accommodating and professional, from the people at the Bryant Museum Olivia Arnold and her group, and B.J. Stabler, who's president of the A Club, and the entire athletic staff. They just rolled out the red carpet for us and took care of every need. We had a reception at the Bryant Museum on Friday night, and Coach DeBoer came over and visited with every single one of the players, and you're just so accommodating and very, very nice. Then, being back on the field, being on Saban Field now at Bryant Stadium was really a special treat. We were there with all of our guys, and they recognized us. And, look up and you see your face on that big jumbotron. It's just amazing. And then Jackie Sherrill and I were the honorary captains, and we got to go out for the coin toss. And, I stood there, Wimp, and I looked around at that stadium and remembered when we played, it was, I think, 35,000 people was the maximum capacity, and now for 100,000 people. And just the pomp and ceremony, it was just overpowering, is the only way I know to say it. And then to watch the game and to see the game is really a game of two halves. Alabama just dominated in the first half, and then Georgia came back and we pulled it out. And I think that the game really, both teams have a lot to take away from that game. Of course, Alabama came back and won the game after going behind. But Georgia has a lot to take away, too, because they were down, I think, 28 points and came back and went ahead with about less than 2 minutes to go on the clock. It was just a magical weekend all the way around. And I mentioned Jackie Sherrill. He and I were the co-captains, honorary captains. Dan Curley, who was my roommate and an All-American tackle at Alabama for 2 years, was there, along with Charlie Stevens, who is now in Jasper, Alabama, an attorney there. And we had a lot of the juniors and the sophomores on that team that came back. Right. Unfortunately, there are not that many of us still alive. I know that we went to the reception at the Bryant Museum on Friday night, and there was a list of players when you first walked in, and I walked over there and I looked, and there was about maybe 25 or 30 names on that list, and couldn't find myself. And I said, I don't know why I'm not on that list. And somebody was standing next to me and said, Galen, those are the ones that have died. So I said, well, I'm glad I didn't make the list yet.
Well, Barry, my son was there, and he has a real feeling about the changing in staffs and how well that's gone. I'll let him.
I do want to ask you, Doctor, that, when Greg Burns set out to hire football, because obviously there's a lot of great football coaches out there, but I think he wanted to get Coach Saban as a first-class program. You go all the way back to Coach Bryant, who you played for, just first-class people. I think he knocked it out of the park with Kalen DeBoer there. He has a different style than Nick Saban, but he's very humble for a guy in his position and a first-class guy. Just your thoughts of what you saw there with him over in the atmosphere now around the Alabama football program.
Well, we actually had Jackie and I, and Jerry Duncan was there, too. I didn't mention Jerry. Jackie, Jerry Duncan, and I had about a 45-minute session with Greg Byrne in his office on Friday afternoon, and we talked about that transition. And he shared with us a lot of the thoughts that he had going into it, and he said that he had planned ahead. He said he hoped Coach Saban was going to be there for a long, long time, but he said, I just am not a person that waits to the last minute. And he said, you see that file over there? And he said that file is full of people that I've been considering for the last couple of years, just in case Coach Saban were to decide to step down. So he already had his eyes on Kalen DeBoer before Coach Saban made his announcement, made his decision. And we talked about that. And I went back and shared with him the transition when Coach Bryant retired. And I said, Greg, the reason that things were not so good, that the transition didn't go that well, is we didn't have a Greg Byrne. As a matter of fact, when Coach Bryant passed away, he was athletics director and head coach. So we didn't have an athletics director to help hire the next coach, and that was an issue. And then when Ray Perkins stepped down, he also was athletics director and head coach. And when he went to Tampa, here we were again. And so hiring the coach fell to the president. And so Dr. Thomas, I think, did a masterful job working through that. And I was on the committee. I was on the selection committee. And actually my job was I was the liaison between the University of Alabama and the candidates. My job was to call the potential candidates and see if they were interested in the job. And if they were, arrange for them to come for an interview. And so we had to do it hurriedly, and we didn't really have a pre-warning, and we did the best we could. But fortunately, we had Greg Byrne this time, and he is one of those long-range planners, and I think did a masterful job. And Coach DeVore is very personable. I think that is one of his great attributes, got a great personality. But you can tell he's a very serious-minded coach. He's been successful everywhere he's ever been. He's won 2 national championships at I think Division II schools. And once you've won a national championship, that's pretty special. And those are the standards that you go by. And I think he's brought those same standards to the University of Alabama.
Yes, let me tell you something, Barry, and for Galen, too. When they got in there, they were talking with Howard Stenberg and talking with Beats and trying to figure out when they could take a job. When they got to Ray and I were great friends. Not everybody liked Ray, but I told Ray that he was the only guy I knew with a personality worse than mine. But and he said, Ray, when can you? He can correct me. When can you take that job? He said, I can take it in the morning. I take it in the morning. And that is that not right?
Yeah, we asked. First Howard Schnellenberger was the first one we interviewed. We interviewed the 3 in my office, and my one question that I asked of all the three candidates was, if you were offered the job tonight, would you be willing to hold a press conference on Tuesday and announce you're the next head coach? And Howard Schnellenberger said, no, Galen, I don't know I can move that fast. He said, I think I'm going to win the national championship next year or so. And at Miami, and Beverly's making more money selling real estate than I am coaching football. I don't think I can move that fast. And then we asked Gene Stallings, or I did, would you be willing to take it, have the press conference on Tuesday? He said, no, Galen, I got to go back and talk to Ruth Ann. He said, Coach Landry's indicated that he may recommend me for the next head coach at Dallas Cowboys. I just don't know that I can move that fast. And I asked Ray, I said, Ray, would you be willing to hold a press conference on Tuesday? He said, yep. And that was it. That was it. So that's frankly the reason that Ray Perkins
was
he was
coming from the New York Giants, too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had just taken the New York Giants to the playoffs for the first time in about 12 or 15 years. So Ray had it rolling in the pros, and I honestly didn't think that he would be interested in the job. And he and Coach Bryant sat together at the banquet, the Hall of Fame banquet in New York every year at the Waldorf Astoria. And Coach called me from New York, and he said, we don't have Ray Perkins on the list. He gave us about 10 names, and he said, that's all I want to do. I'm just going to give you all the names, you and Dr. Thomas the names, and I'm stepping away from it. I don't have anything to do after that. And I said, Coach, I think that's a mistake. He said, Galen, I just don't want anybody to feel hard toward me that they weren't selected. And so he called me from New York and said, we don't have Ray on the list, but I think you ought to add him to the list. And so I picked up the phone and called Ray and asked him, was he interested? And he said, yes. And so we added him really almost at the last minute.
He's a last minute ad.
Yeah, but Ray Perkins had it turned around. When Ray left from there, Alabama was on its way back up. Yeah. And here we had to start all over again.
But he and Penn had a big fight, a recruiting fight, boy. They got after each other good.
Oh, they did. They really did.
You talked about a little bit about the atmosphere in the stadium. But I told Dad, I thought with everything that was going on Saturday, with the former president coming in there was a ton of people outside the stadium that couldn't even get in, but having to go through the metal detectors to get in there, and they were encouraging the crowd to get in there early. Just what your thoughts about the game day operations and what you saw here? I know it was a lot different than back when you played, but it was amazing to me how smooth that went on such a chaotic day.
Oh, it really was. And as I said earlier, for those of us that were there, the members of the team, we had chaperones with the team with us, and they walked us through that whole process, and it was very smooth. And we went from there and went up to the A-Club room and had a chance to sit around for a couple of hours and tell lies about how great we used to be, and relived a lot of the games that we played. And then they pulled us together, and, just kind of like a group of kindergarten students, they took us down as a group. We walked right through into the stadium and got on the sidelines, and it was just so well organized. I cannot express that enough of how well everything was run. And I think that's a tribute to Greg Byrne and the president of the university, Stuart Bell, and everybody that's there. Just first class in every way.
Yeah.
In unusual, I used to stand there, and I know we've talked about this before, but we got a lot of different listeners. I used to stand there as a GA and give out $7.50 every 2 weeks for the $15 laundry money. And they would stand in line to get it, and Carney Lashley was watching Money Like a Hog with the coaches. Can you imagine with Coach Bryant, Johnny Vaught, and them were to wake up today, and Shug Jordan, and say, you don't give them $15, you don't give them $7.50 every 2 weeks anymore? Is what we're doing good for football?
No, I don't think it is. I think with the NIL and with the transfer portal, college football is really becoming semi-pro football.
Yeah.
We didn't have agents. Goodness gracious, the idea that a high school player would have an agent when we were playing was just unthought of. And now then, when the coaches are recruiting, they're having to deal not only with the recruit and the family, but the agents are involved. As a matter of fact, this is something I learned a while ago, is that many of these high-profile recruits are demanding payment between $5,000 and $10,000 to even visit the school, and that's before they even sign. They're just to come there and look at the school. They're demanding money, and then when you look at the two young men that left last year, Isaiah Bond went to Texas, I believe, and then I can't ever remember the defensive back's name. He went to Ohio State, but both of those kids got $750,000 to transfer from Alabama. And that's one of the things that worries me. We've got this great player, Ryan Williams, the kid that caught the final touchdown pass. I mean, he's just a superstar in every way. And you can just imagine what he's going to be faced with in the next couple of years.
Yesterday,
and people are going to go after him and offer him whatever it takes, because he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker, and so the coach invests so much time and energy in recruiting a player and then trying to develop the player, and then they get them to that point, and then somebody comes along and offers them a ton of money to leave, and it's just the allegiance to the program, the allegiance to the school.
Proctor went to Iowa and came home.
Oh, that's right. He did come back.
No, he went home and then came back to Alabama. He was from Iowa. And I think that's probably a story, Doc, that maybe Alabama can sell. You got some guys that left here and maybe they had to leave. Maybe they were told to leave. Went to Florida State. I don't think that's working out very well. This kid went to Iowa and he took some of the NIL money, but then he came back. He got a tight end that went to Texas. Now he's barely playing. So I think sometimes you think the grass is greener, and so you get over there and you realize, man, I had it pretty darn good there at Alabama. Now, not every situation, of course, is Alabama.
Here's the thing that they don't really realize, and the agents are not going to dare tell these kids this, because the agent's making money every time that the young man goes from one place to the other. So they're motivated to get them to leave. And the thing that they need to keep in mind is that your athletic career is one play away from being done. And for them not to look at the long term, get an education, learn a way to make a living after sports, and invest that in a program, invest that in people that will be behind you for the rest of your life and help you along the way, rather than the fast money that comes right now. Because the facts are that, in particular with a lot of the pros who make these millions of dollars, not only in football, but in baseball and basketball, many of them die broke because all this money comes in quickly, and they are not trained or taught how to manage their money. And then the vultures come in and take the money away from them, and then they're broke and they have nothing to fall back on if they didn't get an education and get a degree that allows them to earn a living. And so it's a very short-sighted thing that these young people are being forced to decide right now.
Yeah, it is. The problem is your earning potential, you got to capitalize on it. And I think it makes Greg Burns' job hard because, as you know, these Alabama fans want to win, right? But you got to have the best players to win it. So now, I guess Alabama's you're going to have to play the game though, right? Because it's the culture that we live in now. If you want to get the guys and keep everybody happy here, now you may not have to pay quite as much, but I think it puts Greg Byrne and those guys in a tough spot. Don't you, Doc?
Oh, it absolutely does. It just turned everything upside down. All the tradition that we've built everything on for years and years and years is out the window. It's just a whole different game, so to speak. And I do believe they're going to have to get some regulations in place. Right now, it's just the Wild West out there. Which program can get the most money from their alumni and pay these players to come and play? But I think the NCAA or Congress or somebody's going to have to step in and put some parameters on it. Otherwise, college football is going to become nothing but just semi-pro football and farm teams for the NFL. Yeah. And that'd be a tragedy if that happened.
Yeah.
Well, we sure do appreciate you being on. You've been mighty nice to be on. And Barry, he did wonders for your mother.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
He did a masterful job. You can't even tell that anything happened there. Of course, she's struggling.
Well, I want to say this, that it's been a pleasure to be on your program, but it's been a pleasure to know you down through the years. And, we were there together, and you were developing your career while we were there, and so were we. And so we came along together, and I admired what you did. You turned the basketball program around there at Alabama, and you stayed involved. And what you mean to the university is more than you may realize. And I'm very honored to be on your program and be your friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. One good thing I can say, all four football coaches were good friends of mine, so I was right in their pocket.
Well, you were there supporting them, and I'll tell you this to the people out there listening. We've had Coach Sanderson. Went down to our Gulf Coast Athletic Club. He and Sonny Smith used to come there all the time and open up the season. They knew more about the football program than a lot of the other speakers that we had. We had two basketball coaches, and Wimp would stand there and tell us about every team in the SEC and what he thought was going to happen, and he was right more often than not.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that, please.
Oh, he was. I'm telling you. Pat your dad on the back.
No, I got to deal with him the rest of the day with his head in the clouds.
Well, that's all right. I wish I could deal with my.
I want to text you and thank you for being on, but you got to take you many phone numbers. I can't never text the right one, but thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate it. You're great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always enjoy it, guys. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Yeah. All right. That's great. And he's been around. He's seen them all come and go, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has.
All right. We got a young listener, Dad, that Grady Stow. He listens to us each and every morning when he's riding with his dad. He's one of Mac's friends, Mac's baseball player, so I wanted to give him a shout-out. Every morning he says, Dad, not every morning, I wish every. I want to hear Mac's dad. So I'm Mac's dad, so turn on the radio. So Grady, appreciate it, you listening to us each and every morning. All right, we'll get to break here, and we will open up the phone lines, 205-342-9904. You listen to Tide 100.9. This is the home of Alabama sports.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care, for a Monday edition of the program. We'll add Kennington Smith III to the conversation. We'll get his thoughts, takeaways, good, bad, and ugly from Alabama's big victory over Vanderbilt, and we'll turn our attention toward the South Carolina Gamecock. That's what we have on the docket for Monday. Hope to see you there. The Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9. Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center on the way out. This accident on McFarland, eastbound just before University Boulevard. No delays for it. And 2059, not bad at all. We do have some road construction, as always, on the eastbound lanes between Joe Malisham and McFarland, but it does not have a delay whatsoever. We are TGIF good this morning on Lurleen Wallace and McFarland Boulevard. That intersection usually busy. Right now, you're good to go. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. The chance of a few isolated showers. The high 81. For tonight, fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow and Sunday, warm and dry. Sunny both days with highs between 84 and 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 70 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. They make this 7 o'clock hour possible. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. All right, go to the Yellowwood hotline. We'll bring Terry in. Good morning, Terry.
Hey, Terry.
Good morning. Boy, I really enjoyed this last interview. It was y'all knocked it out of the park with Coach Galen. We really enjoyed it. Coach Sanderson, I wanted to sort of test your memory a little bit. Years ago, back during the Ray Perkins era, I was on the river, my buddy and me, and we decided we'd have everybody over to the house after a day out on the lake. And you and Coach Perkins had pretty much made Dreamland famous at the time. And we went by Dreamland to get some ribs to carry home. And the girls went on home, wives and the children. And while I was in there, this guy came in and eased up to me and he said, how do you know how many to buy? And I looked up.
Was it me?
It was you.
I mean, every time they'd have the team over, Terry, they'd always order boxes of slabs of ribs. They never knew how many slabs those guys would actually eat. Let me tell you, it was a lot that they would eat.
I remember Coach Sanderson saying, I told him, I said, well, I usually go by half a slab per person,
Yeah.
He said, well, this bunch can eat more than that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But do you remember that, Coach Sanderson?
Well, I do remember some parts of that, yes. I used to go in there and I wasn't sure exactly what to get and how much to get and how much money we had and all that kind of stuff. But I was in there quite a bit, yes.
That was the old Dreamland too, right? Not that new.
Sure that was Jerusalem Heights. Jerusalem Heights. The hubcaps on the wall and all of that good stuff.
We've taken this radio show way back. We've taken Alabama football way back.
But I'm really excited about the basketball program, the way things have gone the last few years. Boy, Nate's doing an outstanding job.
Yeah, they're going to really be good. They're very talented, and they do a good job with them. Yeah, they'll be good.
Yeah. You guys, I don't want to just monopolize the time, but you guys are doing a great job. And have some more interviews like Galen. That was outstanding. I really enjoyed that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I thought it'd be good if we could just get it wound up.
We didn't even talk about his books. He's got a ton of books out there as well. Yeah. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all.
There's Terry over in Northport. Phone lines will be open 205-342-9904. We'll take this top of the hour break. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In postseason baseball, there was one wild card series yet to be decided, the only one that went to a deciding Game 3. That was in Milwaukee between the Brewers and the Mets. No score after 6 innings. In the 7th, Milwaukee gets back-to-back homers to take a 2-0 lead. But in the 9th, with 1 out and 2 on, New York slugger Pete Alonso would blast the 3-run homer. Mets would tack on another run and win the game 4-2. For Alonso, he hit the first ever go-ahead home run when a team was trailing in the 9th inning or later in a winner-take-all postseason game. Mets advanced to face the Phillies in the NLDS. Week 5 in the NFL got underway with Thursday Night Football in Atlanta, an NFC South clash, as the Falcons get by the Buccaneers 36-30 in overtime. Quarterback Kirk Cousins hit wide receiver KhaDarel Hodge with a 45-yard game-winning touchdown in overtime, part of a career-high and franchise record 509 passing yards for Cousins. Both teams are now 3-2 on the year.
It's the Tide 100.9 30K Workday Payday. Win cash every weekday 8 to 5. Here's this hour's cash code.
669. Again, that's 669. The code is 669.
Enter that code now on the Tide 100.9 app. Click on the 30K Payday button and enter the code for a chance to win $30,000.
Shopping.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Kniffer. Andrew is my Allstate insurance agent. Let him become yours. Andrew's out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Everybody got to have insurance, and you need good insurance, and you need to have somebody that can help you when you need to use it. Well, Andrew's all that and then some. 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, phone lines are open 205-342-9904. Supposedly, Dad, they're redoing Vanderbilt Stadium, so they don't have the entire stadium for this. I've heard people talk about there's only going to be 29 to 30,000 people at this game. I kind of equate, and I'm sure it'll be sold out, but when you had 100,000 in there and the electricity of what Alabama played in front of on Saturday night, it'll be a lot different. So sometimes those fans, that game itself motivates you to be ready to play. Then the crowd helps you with the momentum and all those things. Now it's going to be different. It's like in basketball, you go on the road sometimes and you play in a place that's not full, and your guys just have a harder time getting themselves ready to play because the atmosphere is not like that. What can Alabama do to offset that as they go up to national? Not that they won't be full, but just it's a big difference between 29,000 and 100,000.
Well, it's not easy. What they can do is that the position coaches have got to really do a good job with their position people. I know
know that, and you need to have a very good talk with your 10 guys that are the leaders on your team. When you get there, I'm sure they're there tonight. When you get there to be ready to leave, this game counts the same number as Georgia does, 1 win or 1 loss. You don't say exactly like that, but you get them to understand that. So I think that it's important. I played the Florida State Clemson game because their stadium is under. They don't have near the attendance because they're redoing theirs as well. So I think you just got to get them to understand just what I've said. So it's not easy to do. You have a team that they don't think much about. You have a head coach there that was willing to go and get Coach Kill from New Mexico and the quarterback, both together, made some strides, beat Virginia Tech in the opening game, have only had 1 loss. It was a bad loss, but they've won the rest of them, and they will be ready to play. The field goal goes through. They have a overtime against Missouri. You can use that, and Missouri's not bad defensively. So Vanderbilt, the head coach, has done a good job of trying to find out his what he needs transfer wise, and he's done so.
Yeah, Diego Pavia is the quarterback there, and he everybody talks about how tough this kid is. And Vanderbilt, I guess, kind of did what I'm talking about. They went out, and I don't know what they paid to get this kid but he's a senior. So he's got 1 year there, and he came in, and so sometimes you bring a senior in over some younger guys. That's frustrating as well. Some guys have been working there, but this kid brings some toughness with him. That's all I've heard is about how tough this kid is, and I think he can use his legs and make some first downs. And so I think if you're Vanderbilt, you probably want to shorten the game, don't you? You want to get first downs, let the clock run, snap it at the last second on the play clock, and try to make the game as short as possible. That's probably why that line is staying around 22.
Yeah, it's a good point. You need to shorten that game as best you can, and every team and every game takes on its own personality, and it just does, especially with the way things are going with the transfer portal. But you have a new personality sometimes every cotton-picking weekend, especially teams that are trying to get somewhere at all the states and the Vanderbilts and the Stanfords and the Wake Forest and these people. You're trying to do everything you can to get your team ready to play, and it takes on a little bit different personality every week.
Does the Missouri game that Vanderbilt played, does that help you as a coach get your players' attention?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, you're not ready to play. You think Missouri was? Probably not. Whether they were or not, I have no idea. But Missouri goes in there. Missouri has done awfully well, been very, very good defensively, and the guy does a good job personality-wise with his team. He's a kind of guy that is not very quiet. He's pretty rambunctious and so forth. And so I think you get your kids' attention by just trying to get your leaders to lead your team. Naturally, you've got to, as the head coach, you've got to do your part. But the guys that are position coaches have got to do a big part in it.
All right, you mentioned the first game tomorrow. This is a big game for Missouri. And Texas A&M, they want to still stay in the consideration for the playoff. I think you go through the SEC and you have 1-2 losses, you have a chance. Missouri's 4-0. They're traveling to A&M. A&M still, they're quietly over there 4-1. I don't think people really realize that, but you got A&M a 2.5 point favorite. Big game that's not talked about much. Be on ABC at 11 o'clock. Your thoughts on who wins the Missouri-Texas A&M game?
I think Missouri has a good chance to win the game. I think they're good defensively.
I think it's going to be about the line. I don't know, but I think they do. I know that A&M. I personally thought maybe A&M might lose to Arkansas. I took 2 games that A&M had and lost both of them. I think they'll go in there and play A&M hard, and I think it'll be a very interesting, tough game. I kept talking about home field advantage, but I don't know, Barry. You know more about it now. You were there. It's home field advantage, but it's the same kind of yell the whole game. It's not an up and down yell where you do something, I don't think, and you go crazy. It's kind of the same. You're yelling good or bad. It's a little bit different kind of home field advantage.
Well, it's their traditions that they do. They'll have tonight. They'll have midnight yell, and they go in. Chase, I don't know if you know this. They go in at midnight. The students, they'll have 30, 40,000 people in the stadium tonight. They do it every home game, and they practice their yells. So that's just kind of their tradition. Now, do they go crazy if A&M scores, you get to kiss the girl next to you. So you want to make sure if they get close to scoring that you're standing next to a good-looking girl that you want to kiss. But they do have a lot of tradition there. It is neat. The stadium is and I haven't been there since they've redone it, but the money there is incredible. Yeah. But not as far as being an intimidating home environment. Nick Saban said it was crazy. I think it depends on who's in there. It's like this past weekend, everybody talks about that environment over there. Well, it's because it was Alabama, Georgia. Can you create that same environment when it's Mississippi State? I don't think so. So it depends on who's in the stadium as to whether the environment.
It does.
So, all right, we'll take the break here. We'll see if we can run down Coach Sonny Smith. We want to thank Tuscaloosa Toyota. Want to rent that vehicle and head up to Nashville. You can rent the vehicle right there at Tuscaloosa Toyota. Also, go to the website, TuscaloosaToyota.com. You can see all the new cars, the pre-owned inventory. You can schedule a service. As I said, you can rent the Toyota right there on the website. Or swing by Skyland Boulevard, see Justin, see David, and tell them that Wimp and Barry sent you. This is Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, we're in the heart of your prime time rush to work this morning, and we do have an accident down on the south end of town. If you're traveling on Old Greensboro Road on the southbound lanes right there at 69, that is a fender bender with traffic a little slow now. Not so much here on 69. That has heavier delays on the northbound lanes right past Mayhinton Boulevard. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
This report. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. The chance of a few isolated showers. The high 81. For tonight, fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow and Sunday, warm and dry. Sunny both days with highs between 84 and 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 71 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We'll get right to the Yellowwood hotline. Hold on a minute. I got to bring up something here. We got Coach Sonny Smith in, and I'm trying to, here we go. Coach, you're on Wikipedia. I don't know if you knew that. When I pull up the Wikipedia, it pulls up all your stuff here. So, Chase, you just talked to the NABC District 6 Coach of the Year, the Ohio Valley Coach of the Year, the 2-time SEC Coach of the Year, CAA Coach of the Year. That's 3 leagues, by the way, if you're not counting.
4 leagues.
And he's in the 4 leagues. I'm sorry. And
thank you.
He's in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.
Wake me when it's over.
And he's probably one of the most popular guys up in, is it Rome Mountain, Tennessee?
Rome Mountain. Well, it was until they washed away this last week.
Yeah. Coach Sonny Smith. So, Chase, take a bow that you got to talk to Coach Sonny Smith. Good morning, Coach.
Don't take a real big one.
Good morning, Coach.
With jealousy's killing Wimp. He's just killing all those great things you said about me. Just makes him so mad.
We got this one caller, Coach, that always brags on him and always tells him he's right. I don't know. And I just like sit there. It doesn't matter what he says, he's right. So I'm on.
What bar was he calling from?
Exactly. I'm gonna brag on you.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I can stand it. Go ahead.
We had Galen McCullough on this morning. You know, he talked about you and I coming down to Gulf Shores and speaking.
Yeah.
I remember I was a lot better than you were. You didn't know anything about football. You wanted to talk NASCAR, and those goobers didn't know anything about NASCAR.
But they do now.
What?
I educated them.
Yeah, you educate them, all right.
I talked about Bobby Allison. They'd never heard of him.
No, they
greatest driver ever to drive in Alabama.
Yeah, probably true. That's probably.
How's the show going?
It's going.
It's going good till I get on, wasn't it?
We have some pretty good guests. So you're asking how something's going. How is Auburn football going? And the reason I don't know. They lose 3 out of 5 at home with 3 straight road games. The Gummers there that you eat with every night, are they yakking about it?
No, I think they're yes they are, and I think there's the expectations are a little higher than probably he can exceed, and I think that's going to hurt him a little bit. We got a good football team, but the league is full of good football teams. You can have a great football team to play the people we got left. So it's going to be tough. Where can you win? Can you win at home? Can you win on the road? I think that everybody's got a real question mark with all of that.
Well, they should have bought a quarterback. They should have called you because you knew how to do it and bought a quarterback.
Well, I don't. A lot of it's got to do with how good your receivers are and how well your line can block for you. And I don't know if it's all quarterback situation. I do understand that they have a decision. They have a tough time deciding who is the best and who should start and all that. But I don't think it's all that bad because if you watch the football games, at times they advance the football with really good plays. And when they're coordinated between the offensive line and the defensive backs with the quarterback, they're a pretty good football team, but it's not consistent enough, I think, in the eyes of the people that are really footballers.
Do you have a good eye doctor down there in Auburn, Coach?
Well, I've been to him 3 times, and I'm blind as a bat, so I
y'all
think
need to send your quarterback to the eye doctor because he's colorblind. He keeps throwing the ball to the other team
at the wrong time. He does do a little bit of that now.
I think he's colorblind. You think maybe I could get his eyes checked down there? There's a lot of people that were mad. They bet on Auburn, and he threw that pick 6. And they were not a lot of people very happy with him here. And
they're not happy with him at all. But the expectations for a quarterback at Auburn is extremely high. Always, you can never do enough, and you will not go down in the history as somebody that they talk good about all the time. And it's not good. It's not. The quarterback is a difficult position to play at Auburn because they receive so much criticism, and the expectations are always way too high. Your expectations should be as good as the people that are backing you up, like your line, your offensive line, and your receivers, and that type of thing. But they don't take the blame as much as a quarterback does. But you know that's probably the same on every football team. But it certainly is the way it is down here.
Yep.
Sonny told that Dennis said he had yellow teeth, and Dennis said wear a brown tie.
We've heard that one. We've heard that one before, haven't we, Coach?
How did you come up with that again?
Yeah.
I thought that one had died when when I had all my teeth pulled.
Okay.
But you still remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that was a good one. Tell our listeners about as much as you can tell about NASCAR.
NASCAR is healthy. NASCAR is filling up the arenas, the stands, not arenas, but the race courses and that they go to. Tremendous crowds, a lot of competition for the top position. Drivers that people never heard of are making moves in NASCAR, and that's certainly up to the young people coming up out of the other series that they run are doing extremely well. NASCAR is healthy and draws extremely good crowds, and it's never perceived that in the press in the state of Alabama. We have NASCAR racing is extremely high, but we don't read enough about it.
Hey, Sonny, with your crew, and this is a legit question, and you've said it before, but we have new listeners. With your paying the crew, which is changes the tires and do or whatever they do, you can tell, and plus the cost to get the automobile ready to run to win.
Yeah.
I know Gibbs, the former football coach at Washington, has done that, but you're talking about big time millions, aren't you?
Millions and millions. Without support, without the financial support, to get the people behind the driver, it's almost impossible to win. The people that's got Ford backing them, Chevrolet backing them, and that type of thing, backing them, gets a lot more help than the others. But beyond that help, they got to get the rest of it on their own in form of sponsorship and people to sponsor the situation and hiring the right kind of people.
Yeah.
Every guy that is like the crew chief of a NASCAR has an engineering degree, that type of thing. I mean, it's not like you just picked up old Joe off the street and he became the crew chief of them. They know the engines, they know the people, and it's big time business. And you got to have big time people, and you got to pay them that way too. And extremely expensive to run a NASCAR team. And the ones with the most money and the sponsorship from automotive guys are the ones that win races. It's not so much who's a better driver. A great driver can end up last with a car that can't run well. So as far as teamwork concerned, there's not a sport that has more teamwork involved in it than NASCAR racing.
Talladega, is it down the list in
it's
money,
next.
Money races?
No, it's big. It's big. It's big from a standpoint of how much they pay the people. It's also big from a standpoint of the number of people that they draw into the track, and it's always been one of the big races. It's something to go to. Of course, you've been there. I took him to a NASCAR race, and he turned on the football channel, on the channel where they brought us. And we were in the top speed suite in NASCAR. The guy that built the track. And Wimp changed the TV to the football game.
No wonder
I became very unpopular for bringing him.
No wonder y'all never been back. I was always wondering why he never went back.
Hey, I was lucky to get back myself after I was one invited.
Yeah. Coach, I asked Dad this in the first hour. Quarterback is crucial. Miami went out and bought one. He's a senior, so he's gone after this year, but they're currently 5-0. And so I guess they would say the investment was worth it. We'll see where it ends up. Auburn, they just flipped the quarterback, committed to Notre Dame, so they have a freshman coming in. Do they still need to go buy a senior? Is that worth paying what you got to pay and just worry about it year to year? Don't worry about building a program. Just try to be as good as you can each year. But if you buy a senior, you give him all the time. Now he's gone that year, and you got to get somebody else ready the next year. What would be your philosophy on that?
My philosophy would be get somebody to go in for you right now, and go look for another one to replace him. I I don't think the days of bringing in a quarterback from high school and bringing him all the way up and him being your guy. I think that's who can win for you now type of attitude. Now, I may be totally wrong on that. And you find very few football coaches that would say that. But you got to find one that'll win right now and look for another one to win next year if he ain't getting the job done. You notice the number of quarterback changes they've had at Auburn. It's been difficult to know who's going to start the next game.
Yeah.
Talladega is this Sunday, isn't it?
Yes. I would get you invited, but I'm afraid you'll mess me up in the suite.
They told me it was. I didn't realize it was this Sunday.
Oh yeah, Talladega's a big race. Talladega, tremendous crowds. The racing is terrific. It's one of the high speed tracks in NASCAR, and it's built on speed. I went around. I don't know if Wimp was with me, but Dale Cherry put us in a passenger car, and he floorboarded the car and went all the way around the track and used one hand to drive the car. It amazes me the talent that these drivers had. Of course, we were in a passenger car. I was scared to death. You'd be going down the back stretch and you'd look like you're going to go straight into the wall, and he's just driving a car with one hand. And we're doing what the car would probably do, 100 maybe, and that would be running at the back of the pack.
All right, I need you two guys' help.
You got mine. I don't know. You don't have much help there.
My basketball schedule. I've had a hard time getting guys to play, and so finally my sister's like, "Well, call this school. I added a couple of games yesterday. Pinson Valley, who's loaded. I have put together the toughest schedule in Alabama high school history, and so this is not going to be. It's going to be very difficult. What do I do about this? I know it wasn't smart, and I'm going to be mad at myself.
Get your contract in radio improved. Get a good radio contract.
What was I thinking? I'm going to be.
Well, you're not your daddy's son. If that's the case.
They look at that
when it comes to scheduling, you didn't go on your dad's philosophy.
I know you didn't do that schedule when y'all look at my schedule. Oh my gosh! But people say, "Well, it's going to get
Barry, you know better. You know better.
It's going to get you ready for the area tournament." Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so I'm going to need some help from you guys to walk me back off the cliff during the season. As
long as you keep me on, your ratings will be up, So just keep me on, and that'll make both of those better.
There you go. All right, Coach.
He's got a press.
You say press with this schedule. Them guys will go through that little press
they won't. They won't.
You got a new press, Barry? You going to use that press?
He's wanting me to press, but here's the thing that he doesn't understand. Here's the thing he doesn't understand, which I don't mind pressing. But he wants you to zone press, which is great. It's not a problem, but there's no shot clock in high school. So in college, when you run the zone press, they take time to get the ball off the court. And then when they get it up there, they don't have as much time. But in high school, of course, there is certain games going to have the clock. You can press like that, but they can still bring it down there. And now they might fire it against. What kind of press you want me to run? 2-2-1?
I want you to run 2-2-1 or 2-1. That don't make any difference, but you got to run it in three different ways. You got to run it full,
all right,
three-quarters, and half.
All right, so when they break it, do I stay in the zone or do I go man?
You just stay.
Mess them up. Change it up.
But I'm saying
press back in man and fall into the zone.
If I'm, you could do that. So if I'm in a 1-2-2 and I'm playing it full, they beat it. Do I run zone or man once they beat it?
I think if I were running a 1-2-2, I'd fall back in a 1-2-2. But if they're bringing it up with 2 or 3 people, you might fall back into a matchup.
Right.
Hey, run a matchup so you're in whatever they end up in down the floor.
Oh. Matchup zone?
Matchup zone.
Matchup press, he's saying. That'd be too hard.
And press.
But I'm asking you, Dad, so when they beat the press, are you in zone or man?
Man.
Well, it depends on what your best half-court defense is. It don't matter if you press with a zone. You can fall back into a man. If you press with a man, you can fall back into a zone. It matters what you feel you can do your best half-court defense.
They'll throw it all over the cotton-picking court. Tom Tarleton did it at Tuscaloosa and won more games running that press he had than you can shake a stick at.
There you go.
But keep pressing.
Press on.
Pressing don't hurt you if you got enough depth.
He never.
If you got good referees and a good depth, he was in good shape.
He never pressed when he coached much, though, Coach.
No.
He didn't.
He didn't have the referees on his side the way he needed.
He had some pretty good athletes, too. He could have pressed.
Oh, he did.
I pressed on.
Your father was a great recruiter.
Here's the problem is he wants me to press, and I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm a lot like him. I don't like to give up layups. And so when you press, a lot of times you give up. That ain't nothing worse than giving up a layup. Now, you might get 9 steals and give up one layup. That one layup kills you for some reason.
Oh, sure. Well, anything. A press is just as good as your depth.
Yeah.
If you don't have depth, you don't need to press because you don't need to get in foul trouble unless it's around a basket, you know. Yeah. Well, you got to have people to defend the rim.
This schedule I got, we're going to have to be trickle. We're going to have to do something trickle.
Well, I tell you what you do. You go talk to your dad, and he'll tell you how to do the right kind of schedule. He's one of the tops in that business.
Before you leave us today, tell us the Auburn-Georgia score.
I think Georgia's a better team. I don't know how to name the score. And I think Auburn is getting better defensively than people think. And you go play a Georgia-Auburn game or Auburn-Georgia game, either way you want to call it, you're going to find that both teams will play better against one another because it's two of the biggest rivals together.
Well, the problem is that this don't mean anything because every game takes on its own personality. I think it's been 20 years since Auburn's gone over to Georgia and won.
I missed what he said, but did he feel like Auburn could win against Georgia?
Who said it? Who?
I couldn't understand what you said.
No, I can't. Auburn's 22.5-point dog.
Yes, I know. But I thought you said Auburn might win. I was thinking.
No, I don't think.
I'll send you some pills tomorrow.
They might. They might shock the world, Coach.
Well, you know, when Alabama and Georgia, Auburn and Georgia get together, you never know who's going to win. It could be a close game. No question about that.
Well, Coach,
my football knowledge would say that Georgia might be the favorite.
There you go. They're a little favorite there. All right, Coach. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Sonny. Don't try to park cars at games at Georgia.
Well, if you ruined me on that, my reputation went down. You criticizing my parking. I was making money. I was getting ready to get wealthy. The parking lot guy of the year. But no, you badmouthed me so much, and now I only get the big cars to park.
Well, I know this. When Chase calls you next Friday, he knows he's calling basketball royalty now based on
royalty. Exactly. Oh, right, Barry. You've always been my favorite.
Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Sonny.
See you.
See you.
Bye.
All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, the bank's in Tuscaloosa, one down in Gulf Shores, one in Columbiana, several in Birmingham. Ones that I go to are in Birmingham. And not only are the banks nice, but the bankers, the guys who run the bank and the people that surround him are good for you. If you're having a personal account or whether you're having a business account, they'll do everything they possibly can to be darn sure that you're satisfied. Bryant Bank, I think, came into Tuscaloosa 2005, I believe it was, and they've done a terrific job since then. So go by Bryant Bank and tell them you heard it inside the locker room that they were a good bank and sign up with them. And I think that you'll find that you'll be very, very satisfied with them. You can bank online around the clock, and your money is going to be safe. And, brother, that's pretty darned important that your money's safe. So go by and tell them you heard Barry and I on inside the locker room, and I will appreciate it, and I think you will too.
All right, we'll take the break here, open up the phone lines. We also have some Clark Lee sound. We can hear from Vanderbilt's coach as well. 205-342-9904. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. When you go looking for trouble, you find it, and we've got it in a couple of spots. If you're traveling on Highway 69 in the southbound lanes at Hinton Place Road, do watch out for this accident. It is blocking the right lane. I don't see a huge delay, but it is very slow in the immediate area. And we have got Lurleen Wallace trouble on the southbound lanes at Northport, or at 10th in Northport, that is. Do watch out for that accident with a lane or the left lane down. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant. It's now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On yesterday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we were joined by the SEC Network's Alyssa Lang.
It's funny because on my Wednesday show on Out of Pocket, we opened the segment. I said, I don't know if you guys know this, but Ryan Williams is 17. I don't know if anyone's told you this before, that he's 17 years old. It's something that I'm sure Alabama fans, their ears are bleeding at this point, hearing it over and over and over again. But it's still such a phenomenon that he is out here dominating the way that he is at the age that he is. And I host Out of Pocket with a very talented former wide receiver, Randall Cobb, who played at Kentucky, obviously had a lengthy NFL career. And you should have seen the group text on Saturday night after, we're not even talking about the bobbled catch as much as we are the double spin move.
I'll have more in a moment.
Founded in Haleyville, Alabama, Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers has been family owned and operated since 1965. Like their famous signature dipping sauce, Guthrie's has been imitated but never duplicated. Using the family's original Southern Fried Chicken recipe, Guthrie's is still serving the best chicken fingers in the world, just like you like them, fresh, hot, and fast. When you want the best, go to Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant, and now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com.
We've got you covered on Saturday for Alabama football against Vanderbilt. Kickoff is set for 3:15 with our radio coverage starting at noon all across the network, the Varsity Network app, as well as the Yay Alabama booth cam streaming live on all CTSN social media platforms. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Guthrie's. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
The best station in the state, breaking down Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, welcome back to Inside Locker. We've got several phone calls holding here. We'll knock them out one at a time. Back to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom back in. Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Barry. Good morning. And again, and Coach, y'all want to hear a good NASCAR story?
Sure. Yes.
You remember the Allison family and how prominent they were in NASCAR?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well, when Davey come along, Davey had a lot of talent. I mean, he was a really good driver, hooked up with a team. Robert Yates, whose anniversary of death was yesterday. I love Robert Yates, great guy. And they were known for horsepower. And Davey became friends with a engineer that worked for NASA in Huntsville. And they developed a relationship, and Davey started inviting him to the shop, to the races. That guy, he just fell in love with the Allison group. And so Davey hired him. And so he hung around the team there for 6 or so months. All the crew members, and they started going, what's this guy's job? How come he's getting paid? We don't ever see him doing anything. We're doing all the work. This guy, he's standing around with his damn hands in his pocket. He ain't doing nothing. We're doing everything. And so Davey said, hey, buddy, look, said everybody's kind of complaining about it. You hadn't made any contributions. He said, can you give me just a little something? He said, yeah. He said, if I were you, I'd change the springs on that car and make them a little bit softer. When you get up to speed going around the track, that car's going to lower down a little bit, and you're going to cut through the wind, and you're going to be much faster. David said, really? He said, yeah, just try it. So they went in there, and sure enough, they put softer springs on the car, and sure enough, that car would go, he'd get up to speed, and it would lower down an inch or two, and make it a lot more aerodynamic, right? Yeah. And Davey said, "Man, why didn't you spoke up before now?" He said, "Ain't nobody asked me nothing."
There you go.
Yeah, I thought y'all might get
it's
a kick.
amazing when people know you got to ask.
I tell you what, Coach Smith knows that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he does.
I'm sure. You trying to say that's why I should be asking Dad if I should press?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right.
There you go.
Go ahead, don't hold back. Go ahead and ask Coach. If it crosses your mind, ask him.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you, Tom.
Hey, one more thing, Barry.
Yeah.
You're talking about these quarterbacks and buying one to bring in for 1 year.
Yeah.
I got one name for you.
Who?
Cam Newton.
Would you say it was worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't legal then, though, Tom.
It may not have been, but it set the pattern for what might work.
There you go.
They passed the collection plate at church, though, and they did okay.
So we need to pass
That's right.
They said, we're not going to get him. He's going to Mississippi State. They said, pass it again.
I tell you this, though, the Lord didn't sanction that church.
Pass it again.
Pass it again. We
Sing
got
two more songs and pass it after each song.
Sing 2 more songs and don't skip a verse. Thank you, Tom.
Hey, love the show, guys.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood Hotline. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Barry, I want to talk to you about supporting your dad's position on pressing.
Okay.
And y'all mentioned Tommy Tarleton, and I'm telling you, there's not a bigger Tommy Tarleton and Pete Pearson, who was his assistant coach. Not a bigger fan in the world. I love those guys, and they kind of took me under their wing and spent a lot of time with me. And one time I was kidding Coach Tarleton about his press, and I said, "Coach, y'all hold like crazy on the press." And he looked at me and kind of smiled, and he said, "Yeah, and if the officials don't stop us, we're going to beat you real bad." Yeah, we're going to
hold all night, yeah.
They did. And and he was also really good about how he adjusted his press, about the back guy, whether he would stay up on the ball side, stay up on the off side. They were really good about that. But they would go back either way. You're talking about, do you go back in a zone? Do you go back man-to-man? Change it up. You can do both, and don't let anybody tell you can't.
No, I know you can't.
Kids are smart enough to do it. And
if I was going to learn to press now, I'd go to Samford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bucky is the new Tommy Tarleton, to tell you the truth.
Right.
Bucky's as good as it gets. But Morgan Wooten let me come watch DeMatha practice one time, and I'm sitting up in the stands with him watching his team practice, and he said, "Well, what's your defensive philosophy?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I've ever written it down." He said, well, you need to. And he said, "Our defensive philosophy is simple. We want to get the ball back. So now what are we going to do to get the ball back?" And, of course, they were a pressing team and did a lot of things to get the ball back, because if you press and don't give up a layup, you haven't risked anything. Just don't give up a layup. And if you only steal the ball 1 or 2 times, that's 2 possessions that you're going to have that you didn't have otherwise. Hey, and you've seen games won or lost on 1 possession.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, anyway, I'll get off the phone.
You hope they kick it up the first time you press it, and you hope they hit the first 3 they take, because you know what? They keep taking them. 1 pass and a 3, so you don't have to defend them very long. So, we try that as well. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. See you guys.
All right, back to the Yellowwood Hotline. Get Digger in. Hey, Digger.
Where you been, Digger?
I've been around. Classic serve and volley between the 2 coaches about pressing. They were both lucid. I'm being serious. I actually learned something here, and they were both lucid, and they were both on point. And I'm saying, well, who's going to win this argument? Well, who was it that went to the final?
There ain't no argument. Barry's going to do what he wants to, so it don't matter.
Real quick, quarterback from Miami.
Yeah.
From Incarnate Word.
Yeah.
Texas head coach Bill Kenny. He's still at Texas State, actually. Go get McLeod, and maybe he'll go and show Mississippi State how to throw the ball, because I'm telling you, they're halfway there. They can run the ball. Mississippi State can.
Yeah.
Well. Okay? Their defense is at it. They're going to have to outscore everybody.
There you go.
So, yeah.
So buy the quarterback.
But real quick, one more thing. Okay. Bobby Allison, Davey Allison, I heard an interview with A.J. Foyt. Boy, they did not like each other. And they got a problem about how they did their racing over there. And I got to say, yeah, I'll leave that one alone, too. And one more thing. Who's the guy that was on the 1964 national champion, Dr. McClellan, you said?
Galen McCullough. Yeah, look him up.
Yeah, okay.
Go buy one of his books.
Well, okay, I will, but I got to know, how do y'all win a national champion going with a record 9-1-1, and you were voted by AP to win the national championship in 64, but then you got Michigan State at 10-1, and they won it by UPI. So, I mean, come on.
Thank you, Digger.
You're right, Digger.
I mean, what's Sark's record against Kalen DeBoer?
0-2, but 2-0 in Tuscaloosa.
See you, buddy. All right, back to the Yellowwood Hotline. What's up, Biscuit Bruce?
What's going on, guys? Boy, I tell you, Digger, they love to rib you when you're on top, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Hey, Coach Pearson's story right quick. I played for Coach Pearson at Tuscaloosa High School.
Yeah.
71 to 74. If y'all don't think Coach Pearson could get mad, y'all are bad wrong. Yeah. So I've seen him in times where he'd grab my face mask and I thought my neck was going to come loose from my shoulders.
The good old days.
Great guy.
Good old days.
Good old. You're exactly right. And one of the greatest people I ever knew when I moved back here and opened my business, he helped me tremendously. But what I really called for was to tell Coach Wimp, good luck on this series coming up with the Guardians.
Yeah.
You need to wish him good luck on his blue plate, Biscuit Bruce.
No, blue plate.
His blue plate.
Hey, but not really on this series, because if Detroit wins and goes on, we're going. Because he knows I'm a Detroit fan, because that's where Frank pitched at.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you better carry. You ain't going. Detroit's pretty good, but my Cleveland Indians are loaded.
All right, now watch out now.
It's the Guardians, not the Indians.
Yeah, they're not Indians.
They're Guardians.
You can't be Indians no more, Coach. You said. I remember one day you said if they change this name,
I ain't gonna pull for them anymore.
The Guardians, I'll never be a Cleveland fan again.
They chickened out. The Braves didn't chicken out. The Washington Redskins didn't chicken out, but the Cleveland Indians did.
Yes, they did. The Washington Commanders now. They did chicken out. Thank you, Biscuit.
Yeah. All right, y'all have a great weekend.
Right,
good talk to you.
I'll take this last break, and we'll wrap up the show. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM, WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care, for a Monday edition of the program. We'll add Kennington Smith III to the conversation. We'll get his thoughts, takeaways, good, bad, and ugly from Alabama's big victory over Vanderbilt, and we'll turn our attention toward this South Carolina Gamecock. That's what we have on the docket for Monday. Hope to see you there. The Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9. Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. When you go looking for trouble, you find it, and we've got it in a couple of spots. If you're traveling on Highway 69 to the southbound lanes at Hinton Place Road, do watch out for this accident. It is blocking the right lane. I don't see a huge delay, but it is very slow in the immediate area. And we have got Lurleen Wallace trouble on the southbound lanes at Northport, or at 10th in Northport, that is. Do watch out for that accident with a lane or the left lane down. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, Tammy Thomas.
Question for you. Would you rather pay $150 a month or $15 a month to work out with the same high-quality gym equipment? At Planet Fitness, you can get top-tier equipment for $15 a month. Plus, save $28 or more when you join now during our Strong Choice sale. Our weights weigh the same, you just don't pay the same. Enjoy free fitness training and 24-hour access at most clubs, all in the judgment-free zone. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. See club for details.
100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. The chance of a few isolated showers. The high 81. For tonight, fair with the low at 63. Tomorrow and Sunday, warm and dry. Sunny both days with highs between 84 and 87. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 73 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I'll get right back to the Yellowwood Hotline. We got about 1 minute. Get Abe in. Good morning, Abe.
Hey, good morning, Barry. Good morning, Coach. What was Coach Sanderson's game that he picked, the blue plate?
I'm glad you asked that, Abe. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I picked Clemson. I looked at UAB and Tulane. I really liked that game. I faltered and went to Clemson, which I don't like the half. It's 14.5 when I picked it. So they're at Florida State, but the games were hard to pick, I thought. And
I do too, but one thing I like about your game, I think, ain't Florida State working on their stadium, and there's nobody.
They are, but they got
to. That'll help you, and they got to. Right, Brock Glenn or somebody. They benched that DJ.
He's probably better than the other one. He may be better.
Yeah, that may help them, but I think I like your pick. I think Dabo gets it done and they run away with it. But Coach, I got a story for you. A lot of the listeners, it's kind of. I didn't know this, but the old boy at the coffee shop was telling it. Said in 1969, Scott Hunter was a junior, and Archie Manning was a junior at Ole Miss. In Alabama, yes, sir, 33-32. But you know what happened the next week? Vandy beat us.
Yeah.
And their quarterback was Watson Brown.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Watson Brown.
Yeah.
All right, Abe. There's the music, man. We'll talk to you Monday. All right, that blue plate special. Chase says fade that thing. Is brought to you by Chuck Norwood and the RE/MAX Realty team down in Orange Beach, Gulf Shores. Go to chucknorwood.com. Give them a call. You're looking to buy or sell. You want to use the best. That would be Chuck. So at Chuck Bama's on X. The website chucknorwood.com, and you can give them a call, 202-519-481-1212. That's it for today's show. And this week, the Gary Harris Show is next. Gary's out, and it's free, even though it's not open. What is he doing out there? It's not even open. They even give him a Coke while he's out there? Huh?
Probably, yeah.
Probably he can get something. All right, Gary, if it was open, there'd be too many people in there to want to be around Gary. All right, so it'd be a fire hazard.
Gary said it's Pepsi. Yeah, I got it right.
Oh, my bad. All right, that's it for today's show. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great weekend, everybody. Roll Tide.